Welcome everyone to this week's episode of the 5710 podcast. This week's guest is Martin Lesjak, founder of INNOCAD, a design office based in Graz, Austria. Martin also founded a product design firm 13&9 with his wife, Anastasia Lesjak, in 2013. INNOCAD's work has been widely publicised across the globe, culminating with the CMP headquarters winning the Arc Daily's Building of the Year. So, first question I want to jump in with is the CMP headquarters just won AJ's Office of the Year. And do you think websites like the Arc Daily and Design, they're sort of becoming the magazines and books for our generation? Like, many students don't read, they don't take books out from the library, they just Google for precedents and things like that. Do you think that's a good thing, a bad thing?
It's good to have these formats like Design and Design Boom and Arc Daily and all of this, because it's the time we live in, and it's a good source, and it's easy to approach. But I think that there will be also a renaissance of the book, because interestingly, there are more libraries built at the moment than ever before.
Really?
Yeah. We are also doing one, actually. And I think that it's an interesting thing, because it's always the same. I mean, in this age of digitalization, we experience this in different ways, that there's also a balance, rebalance to the physical. I mean, we experienced this in workplace design. 10 years ago, everyone was talking, my office is where I am, and home working, and 10 years later, we want to get the people back to the office to connect, because it also has a big social importance, because we're still physical beings and social beings, and so there will always be a need for this. But the programming of the spaces will change. Mm-hmm. So these new libraries, they are also social spaces and temporary workspaces. And there is also an interesting study, even a scientific study, don't ask me about the name, but who did this, but that the presence of a physical book enhances creativity.
Do you think it also enhances probably knowledge consumption?
Yeah, I hope so. And I think people also need physical symbols. I mean, you need something, and that's why I think the books will not die. There will be a different importance about books, not only for getting information and knowledge, but also there will be something mystical around it.
Maybe, something poetic perhaps. Yeah. So what kind of books did you read when you were a student? What architects inspired you when you were going for your education?
So I was always interested in many different things. So when you ask me this question about inspiration, I mean, relating to my job, even it's not only architects.
Designers as well. Sorry, I probably shouldn't use the word.
It's designers, but it's also artists or musicians. So I can, if you want names.
Yeah, but please, it's always good to hear.
But this is really important for me, that I was always inspired by different things in life.
Sorry, I probably shouldn't have used the word architect. As I said, I was like, that's restrictive.
Yeah. So, I mean, of course, you have to start with the old masters, because I'm somehow a child of modernism, of course. This was our generation. So Mies van der Rohe, Le Corbusier, of course. Then, more contemporary, I think Rem Koolhaas was also influencing us when we were students a lot. Also his book, Delirious New York, and other stuff. But also artists like, I'm really get a lot of inspiration out of art, like Chiharu Shimota, the Japanese artist. You need to check it out. It's
painter, sculptor?
No, it's a sculptor, but she's like a spider. She weaves immersive, huge spider nets into spaces. Cool. That is like crazy.
That sounds pretty good.
Or in music, there's get a lot of inspiration. David Bowie, for example, as an holistic artist, is one of the most amazing.
David Bowie. What's your favourite David Bowie song? Do you have a favourite song? Or do you have a favourite Bowie song?
Yeah. I used to play it in my last gig because I was a professional DJ, but now I only play, let's say, once a month.
As a hobby, yeah.
Yeah, more as a hobby. Space Oddity.
It's a good song, isn't it?
Yeah, or in fashion, I mean, there were a lot of interesting people. A contemporary ones is Carol Christian Bell, or it's still no, I'm missing names. I don't know why. Sorry.
It's all good.
What is my shoes? Rick Owens. Because they are somehow still avant-garde at the moment, less and less, but so, and design-wise, Pierre Paulin or Anne Jacobsen with interior and furniture design, I think they are really amazing. And
okay. So we kind of learned about you through Art Daily, and that's where we saw your work, and then we thought, well, we'd like to hear more about you, and YouTube TED Talks and things like that. Do you think there's other architects, designers, people from Austria that maybe we don't know so much about in the UK? You know, we're quite focused in ourselves because we have London and we have so much coming out of our own country. Do you think there's stuff in Austria nearby that we're kind of missing out that you would recommend?
Yeah, I think we have a quite good architecture scene in Austria and also in Switzerland. I mean, so in Austria, I would definitely say Martin.
Oh, okay.
From Western Austria. They are really good, I think. Or from Vienna, Querkraft, for example.
See, these aren't names I'm recognising. It's sort of you get stuck in the bubble of London and maybe a bit in Scotland as well.
But these two you really should check out. They're really good, constant work since years. Yeah, and of course there's a lot going on in Switzerland.
Yeah, with Switzerland I know a bit more about. Zumthor's a big, he's everywhere. Yeah, he's massive. One thing I noticed in your design was a sense of like you're interested in things that are dynamic and playful, and is that an intentional thing, or is that something you enjoy, or I don't know, is it something that you try and prescribe, or is it something that comes quite naturally? Especially in the museum, it's in Graz, I'm not sure if it's that, where it's all about you, as you look closer, things change and the mirrors change, and
we have a certain strategy when we do projects, and this is based on our philosophic approach, and I will talk about this also tonight. This new holism, this human-centered design, where we try to find answers to the challenges of our time that come with digitalization, urbanization, or how we live our lives in general, and how our, let's say, capitalistic world and the way we live influences our human existence.
Okay,
almost.
Our perception and perspective. And
and because
kind of things.
I always say we're living in a shortcut of evolution, because our communication technology changed our daily lives in this rapid time. I mean, like in 10, 15 years. I think there's a change that has barely been before in history, so quickly.
The jump, do you think?
The jump that how people perceive the environment, how they communicate, how they socially interact, how they, even work with their senses. There are also studies that these children that grow up with social devices, that they lose a certain sense lose certain senses.
Really?
Of haptical and tactile issues, and so it is like a little evolution which comes so fast. And there come a lot of challenges with it that are affecting human health and well-being, but also social.
So do you think your design is trying to break them out of that and get them to go
And-
back to that sort of tactile?
And not only this, we try to find strategies that enhance human-centered design, how we call it. So where we try to put inner core human needs back to center again. Not what we think it's important, because we believe so much in the outside. And we need this and we need that. But we are somehow focusing on these inner needs, and there is a lot of how we deal with intuition or cognitive aspects.
And is that something you can look into history to go back to how things were done before, or is it trying to rethink the whole thing and going, what do we need?
I think we need new answers now.
Yeah.
Because of this rapid change I was talking about. We need new answers. There's, I think, not a lot answers there in the past for the challenges of nowadays, but it's always something to learn from the past. And one of our strategies is also this holistic approach to design in general. That's why we don't make a difference between architecture, interior, product, music, whatever. And this you could also find when you look back to the old masters, like I mentioned before, like Mies van der Rohe and Le Corbusier and whoever you can name it. They were all holistic artists, and they didn't stop and say, no, I'm don't do interior because this does someone else, and I don't care about furniture, and I don't care about lighting. So, and this we somehow try to bring back, because we feel that in this interdisciplinary, or how we call it, transdisciplinary approach, and also in the collaboration with other disciplines like science, art, or sociologists, and all these different specialists, you can create solutions that are somehow new and give an answer to.
I watched the video on YouTube of the carpet where you got the scientist about the fractal design. I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah.
Do you think that'll catch on? Hopefully, it was really interesting. The idea that nature can lower stress levels and.
Yeah, this was amazing, and I would never have had this chance to work with this amazing person, Professor Richard Taylor. He's a physics professor at the University of Oregon. If we wouldn't, if we didn't start our product design studio with 13 and 9, which I'm running together with my wife, because this product design brought us to different things that again affect what we're doing in architecture, because learning about what is biophilic design, when everyone is talking about now, it's a big trendy thing, but it's not to put some plant pots in the edge and do something in wood, and that is biophilic design.
Something a bit deeper than that, isn't it?
Yeah. Where does it come from? And it's scientifically proven that humans have a direct connection to nature, and due to urbanization and digitalization, I mean, not here, you live in a beautiful green city, but I mean, when you talk about the big cities in the world, and you know that more than half of the world's population are living in big cities, then this becomes really an issue, and how to provide this connection to nature even in an artificial environment. And Richard Taylor, for example, was researching this 20 years ago for the NASA,
really?
for the Mars mission, because
I see, because they're away from all.
because they knew when they sent these people to space for years,
psychologically it would change things.
And they are completely disconnected from their natural environment. This will cause problems, and so he learned what it is and how this infects the body, and came up with this he proved that there are fractals in nature, that our mind and our body and our eyes are used to process since thousands of years, and so our brain processes fractal, and our eyes tracking fractal, and so on. And this is the very, very basic reason.
Yeah, it's all about human process. That kind of goes back to human-centered design. It's how we absorb things and perceive things.
And he found out that there are special fractals in nature that have a calming effect on the human body, which we experience as positive. It's not only like a it's not only romantic, I mean, like, nature, but there is also a physiologic reason for that, and to know about this and how you can work with fractals, and of course it's not only application on a floor, on a wall. No. You can also think of fractal qualities of spaces or even urban design, and I really want to keep on going with that. And
really interesting.
And I try to find the right chance to bring this knowledge and to collaborate with Professor Richard Taylor also in the third dimension.
And is it something they're doing in hospitals or psychiatric wards at the moment, or is it something they're trying to do?
Interestingly not.
Really?
Also they made experiments where they proved that the first experiment was that in the emergency room, when you have surgery, when you come to this emergency room, they are mostly without a window.
Yeah,
I don't know why, because they think people are sleeping. So they just put these people in a room with a wall-to-ceiling glass with a view on the back, like you have it here, and they had a quicker healing from the surgery, recovery, up to 60%. That's only with this window. And then they went further and found out that you can also create this with fractal patterns when you don't have this access to windows. But science knows this for years, but there's no application for the public. And I think this is a big responsibility for us as architects and designers, or creative people in general, to design interfaces between science and architecture and the public, because we have the skills to do applications. We don't need to know everything. We can work with the most interesting and beautiful people, because architecture and design is an interdisciplinary work. It's not someone sits in his chamber alone and being inspired by the universe. I mean,
that's what all the guests have said before. It's
sometimes it's good when it when it happens, but I wouldn't wait for this, because you need to work in teams, and you need to work with different disciplines, and then you can really create something relevant that makes sense for the future.
I was wondering why maybe that's why university for architecture is really quite difficult, I find, because you're working by yourself. You're kind of the whole. Yeah, you have your critics and your tutors, and they come in and say what you're doing wrong. But most of the time, you're doing the whole thing yourself, and it's quite hard to comprehend all at once.
Yeah, that's why I liked when I saw the masters, the masters work, the master studio, where they work together, at least on this master plan, and then they split up. But I think it's so important. You cannot face the challenges of the future as a single person. You need also to cultivate your social competence,
the communication skills,
and your emotional competence, that you can interact with people, and because otherwise I think you're lost.
Yeah. Oh, a question I was going to ask was, how did this human-centered design affect, the climate crisis? But I think we've kind of answered it, that it's all about collaboration, and it's of course about opening those communication links again. Yeah.
And of course, to care about our environment is a really basic human need. So
especially with how miserable the world would be if we had none of these things to look at. We'd all be miserable, and on top of probably being not alive.
Exactly. So this is actually the most important thing when you talk about human-centered design, that you care about the environment where these humans should keep living. So, yeah.
Okay, so last question, or a question we ask all our guests, is a recommendation for a grand tour. Quite often university students in their summers or when they finish, they'll go on a tour somewhere. Any places you'd recommend, other than, I'm assuming, places in Austria as well?
Yes, I have several places where I would go, or where
Not only architects, just in general.
Yeah.
Architects are generally quite well-travelled people. They
Yeah.
know places better than most.
I mean, for architecture, I would definitely go to Switzerland and Austria.
Mm-hmm. Any time of year, summer, winter?
Yeah, maybe winter is a little hard. I mean, besides I like snow. But I mean, we have good springs and fall, so but only not in January and February. No. Besides, you want to go skiing. Because I think there's a really still good architecture scene, and you can easily connect. And from Vienna to Zurich, you can do this in one tour.
Yeah, you can do your grand tour just for the Euro now compared to times before. Yeah, it's getting easier. Then
I would go to Rotterdam, of course, and then I would go to New York for sure. New York is just still, even it's becoming more and more commercial, but it's still the most inspiring.
And why do you think that is, when it kind of goes away from what we're talking about the fractals and nature? Is it kind of the human spirit that's kind of the endeavour of it all, maybe?
Yeah, I mean, New York is crazy. It's not, there's no place like New York. It's this density and this energy and this quick change.
A tempo that's double time almost, yeah.
It's like a compressed world. It's really, we do work there since years, and so I've been there 100 times, but it somehow became our second home. But I'm still every time inspired, and it's also a source of inspiration for me. And then I would go to Tokyo or to Japan, because
a lot of people say that it's just a whole different world out there, isn't it?
It's so different, but you can learn a lot, and the density of high quality creative people is, I think it's nowhere like in Japan. Some of the best architects there, some of the best designers, some of the best fashion designers. So everything that is in the sense of creation, they have a really, this whole culture is supporting this much more than it's elsewhere, I think. And of course, it's also there no cultural background. And if you like, reduction to the essences, then like I do, then you're somehow connected to the Japanese.
They all sound like good places to check them out.
Japanese world, yeah.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Martin, for joining us this week, and thank you to everyone for listening. Our next guest will be Stephen Weatherford of Weatherford Watson Mann, so make sure you tune in for that.